Welcome to Second Time Lucky. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Mahi.
And we will be your hosts. Throughout this podcast, we will discuss transplants, the process of organ donation, and the ins and outs of my personal heart transplant experience.
Just a heads up, some of the content might be a bit triggering. While we aim to keep things quite fun, mortality and medical procedures are discussed throughout the series. Also, a coarse language warning because we have a tendency to swear like sailors. Sorry!
We would also like to say that we are not medical professionals, so please do not seek any medical guidance from the Second Time Lucky podcast. But we do encourage a transplant dialogue.
We hope you enjoy listening to it as much as we enjoyed making it. Episode 4. Getting the Call. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Second Time Lucky.
Oh, that was very well.
Yeah,
that was pretty good, huh?
Today, I'm Mahi.
I'm Nicole.
And today we're going to be talking about getting the call, the transplant call.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, this happened to me. So yeah, I feel like this process isn't really as seamless as one may think. I think like in movies and stuff, I mean, there's not really a lot of like pop culture transplant things.
Yeah.
But I feel like in those things, this is never shown. Or like if it is, it's like, good phone call, getting the transplant, everything is going as planned. Unfortunately, real life is a little bit more complicated.
Well, also because like the only examples that we've had are like, you know, I guess we hear a lot about kidney transplants where there's maybe a bit more, you can find someone who's alive that can maybe donate or, you know, like, you know, the likelihood of you finding someone in your family is probably a lot closer. Whereas you can't really ask someone to donate their heart for you if they're alive.
No, I mean, my dad did. Literally, I'm not even kidding. My dad asked the doctor, like, take mine out, I will give it. Not an issue. And I was like, Dad, I don't think that's an option. Honestly, just such a darling. Like, just the best.
No, that is really beautiful. But
I mean, yeah, look, I could do a whole other episode just on my dad and his generosity alone, but let's not get into that. So, as we were saying, alright, so you're listed.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through the process, you do your workup, and you get listed for a transplant. What they literally tell you after you're listed is, alright, go home and wait.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, me included, a lot of people that I've spoken to that have had a transplant say that this is the hardest part of the transplant process.
The waiting.
It's also like, you obviously, like, saying that, yeah, you don't know when it's going to come and actually living that is so different. Like, it is so, I don't know, I can't even find a word to explain it. It's so weird knowing that literally any second your life could change.
Yeah.
So what you're instructed to do by the hospital is, I mean, what I was instructed to do by the hospital was, okay, go home, pack a bag, keep your phone charged literally at all times, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
So I remember, like, I came home from Sydney after my workup, and I went and bought, like, a new shiny suitcase, and I packed it. Now, what do you pack? Like,
because you're preparing to stay in hospital for an indefinite amount of time, or at least like an undetermined amount of time.
Yeah, but I didn't even think about like getting out of hospital. My mentality was like, all right, I'm going to pack a bag for being in hospital. So I packed a bunch of like underwear, socks, my slippers, a robe, toiletries. I didn't actually bring like pants, tops, because literally I was like, I'm going to be wearing a gown. Like, that's fine. And then the reality was, obviously, when I did have my transplant and I was discharged, I was like, I don't have anything to wear. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. But they tell you to go home, pack a bag, and just have that bag ready. And yeah, because there's no time to waste. It is like, go.
And they can't possibly have any indication of when you might be getting the call.
No.
Like, it could be by the second you get home from Sydney when you were there for your workup.
Yeah.
Or months later down the track?
Years. I mean, it could be years. So there's a few factors in finding a donor. So, I mean, gender, all that kind of thing does not matter. What does matter is blood type, general kind of height and weight and stuff like that, like logistical stuff like that.
With blood type, very quickly, were you ever told about maybe a case where if they're desperate, they'll give you, say, like, a heart that has, like, an O type, even if you're not O? Because O is kind of that universal blood type, right? Like, I know that with blood transfusions, if they desperately need to give somebody blood, they'll just give them O, but then it's not safe to give them their matching blood type. Is that...
I don't know, to be honest. That's not something that I was ever spoken to about. That might be like a doctor thing, like something that they decide. That was never something that I was kind of spoken to or like warned about.
Yeah, but you were told your blood type.
I was told they're going to look for someone roughly my height and weight, because it's also like the heart needs to fit in my cavity. Once my heart is taken out, if someone, say I get a donor that is like 5'10", I am 5'10". Wait, no, that's not a good example. Say that I get someone, who is 4'2".
Yeah.
I feel like their heart is going to be teeny tiny compared to mine. I'm 5'10", I'm quite tall, I'm slim, this is my blood type, so they're going to try to find someone as close to that as possible.
Yeah.
So when a donor becomes available, a list of potential matches, so people that are on the list, appear, and I'm not really sure of like the logistics, like how they decide who. I don't think it's like who deserves this organ more, but I think it's kind of like who will survive without this organ longer. Who needs this organ the most?
Yeah.
Who will not survive another second without this organ?
Okay, yep. That does make sense, yeah.
And so I think that's scary as well, because when I got the phone call, I was like, I'm sick. For some reason, it hit me then. I was like, oh my God, I was at the top of the list to get this.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
Yeah, because you did get your first one really recent after, really soon after your workup.
Yeah, so my workup was done in October 2017, and my first phone call was the 17th of December.
Wow.
So it was almost to the day 2 months later. And I remember it was one of our best friend's birthdays on the 18th of December.
Yeah.
And she was having like this house party, and I was just chilling the night before. Matt and I had just like eaten dinner. I think it was maybe like 5 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
It was daylight savings. It was very much daytime. And I remember we were just relaxing and my phone rang. Oh, that's right. Matt was taking the bins out. And so I was inside alone and my phone rang. And for some reason, I just felt like my heart stopped. So like, I didn't even know who it was. I got that feeling. And they called on a private number. And so I was like, okay, like, we're doing this.
But, like, you were never told this is the number you should look out for. They're like,
no.
You should answer every... Because I feel like I don't answer private numbers.
Yeah.
So that was...
When you're sick, you learn to start answering private numbers. Because it's always a doctor.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. So, like, they said, like, it'll be private. So make sure you answer that. So, like I said, I heard, like, Matt was literally wrapped, in the front yard, putting the bins out, and my phone rang, and it was the professor, which is not a common thing. Usually they, like, appoint the transplant coordinator to call, and I remember he was like, Nicole, are you sitting down? And I was like, who is this? Like, what? What's your favourite scary movie? And I was like, what? And he was like, oh, it's Professor McDonald, how are you? And I was like, oh my God. I was like, you've got a heart for me, don't you? And he was like, yep, are you sitting down? And I was like, yes. And I was like, can you just wait? My fiance is bringing the bins in. Like, just give me a second. He's like, yeah, take your time. And I was like, Matt, come inside. And he came in and I put him on loudspeaker. And he was like, okay, we've got a heart for you. We've got a potential match. We want you to get ready, but we're going to call you back with some details because we're just trying to figure out some logistics. So he was like, I'm going to get the transplant coordinator to give you a call within 10 minutes. And he was like, have a pad and a paper and a pad and a pen ready because there'll be some things that you need to jot down. We'll go from there. When I tell you that I was, like, I don't even know. I can't even describe an emotion. I don't even have an adjective for it. Like, I was happy, sad, scared, relieved, like a million emotions in one. And it was a week before Christmas. And so, like, I felt like a really, really deep sadness as well, because I was like, someone's just died before Christmas. That's devastating. So that was a lot, and I had to deal with that myself. Matt, I said to him, you need to call my mum because I cannot form a sentence. So he called my mum and was like, she got the call, you need to come here now. And mum was like, okay, do I need to bring a bag? And he was like, the doctor's going to call us back, so just come here as you are.
Yeah.
And then we'll decide. Luckily, my parents live 5 seconds away.
Yeah.
When I tell you that my house filled up with people, there was like 25 people in my house. My grandparents came. They were in their robes. They were in their pajamas. Like, it was the cutest thing. My cousins came. My siblings were there. My mum, my dad, my uncles, my aunties. And I remember I was just sitting in my room. I didn't even really want to speak to anyone or like see anyone. My family was like celebrating, but I felt like very sad.
Yeah.
And anyway, I got out of my room and I went and like said hi to everyone, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm not going to make it to Christmas, guys. So like, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys have a good day. Like, so dramatic.
Yeah.
And then my phone rang when I was in the living room with everyone. And so I said to everyone, can you all just shut the hell up? I'm going to go in my room, put them on loudspeaker. I was like, Mum, Dad, Matt, let's go. We need to just, listen. Anyway, so the transplant coordinator called me and was like, sorry, Nick. Yeah, this heart isn't going to work out. But you know what, Matt? Go get us some Maccas, tuck her in bed, forget about it. Hopefully we'll give you another call soon. And then she kind of was like, okay, bye.
And they can't tell you why the heart didn't work out.
No, well, I did ask. Because also it was just so, like, blasé. She was just like, all right, well, sorry, hope you have a good night, Merry Christmas. And I was like, wait, what? And I remember my family was, like, silent. Like, you could hear a pin drop. And I walked out of my bedroom and I went into the living room and I was like, I don't know. I don't know what just happened. It's not happening. And even they were like, do we celebrate? Do we, like, is this good or bad? And I was like, I don't know. And I remember I said to Matt, can me and you just go lay down on the bed for a second? Like, I don't know what I'm feeling. And I felt like exhausted from like having a million feelings.
Yeah.
And so I said to him, like, can me and you just go, like, have a breather? I just want to be with you. I just only want to be with you right now. And I went into I went and laid on my bed and I just like went into fetal position and just like absolutely lost it. Like, I was crying hysterically like a child. And Matt was like, Bub, like, it's fine. Like, it wasn't meant to be. And I was like, someone still died. Like, I just could not get over that someone had passed away. And like, I know obviously that happens every day, but I don't know. I felt like I was grieving this person that I did not even know.
Yeah.
And I kind of said to everyone, like, and my mum was like, who wants a coffee? I was like, no, like, nah. I really just want to be alone. Like,
yeah.
Everyone, I love you guys, but see you later.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I remember I went to bed and I cried for like, I'm going to say like 5 hours straight.
Yeah.
Like, I was like dehydrated. I woke up in the morning and my eyeballs were like little raisins. It was just honestly so bad. Like, I don't know.
So many levels of shock.
It was shock. It was shocking. And I didn't feel like I was ready then. So I think maybe on some level I felt a bit of relief, but it was like relief, but also like, shit, like, what if I don't make it for the next phone call? Like, what if I actually die waiting? Or like, I don't even know. It was a lot. Luckily, the day after that, we had our friend's birthday.
Yeah.
Which I was very adamant that I didn't want to go to. I just was not in the mood. But luckily I did go. And you guys all cheered me up and it was great. But I kind of, that week, I was obviously Christmas was around the corner. I just was kind of not myself, and I was very like, it hit me that I was getting a transplant that day. I know that obviously, like, I'd gone through the workup, I'd come this far, I'd signed all those forms, but nothing really, like, they're just all things. Like, nothing really happened that made it seem real yet.
Yeah.
Until that second. So that's why I think I reacted in such a like, I don't even know, like a weird way. Like,
which is not a familiar like situation. Like you can't, and like it's not even something that you can be mentally prepared for from like TV showing you what happens in those situations. I feel like I have an understanding of like how pregnancies work just because I've watched so many pregnancy episodes on TV. I know it's not the same thing, but it's an insight.
Yeah, exactly right.
But I have no insight on transplants, and you obviously hadn't either. So.
No, and like they do tell you, like, all right, we're gonna give you a call. You need to have a bag packed, and then we're gonna, tell you what time to go to the airport. But like I said, they're just words. So, like, when that is actually happening, it's very different. And the feeling, I didn't expect to feel so guilty, like, so bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, I got over it eventually. And I think I was lucky because Christmas was coming and great distractions. Matt's birthday's on the 27th of December. New Year's is around the corner. I had a niece at the time who was a couple of weeks old. Yeah. So, like, I had lots of distractions, and they were good distractions. But, like, in the back of my mind, I kind of was like, I'm going to have to go through this again soon. I kind of just went on living after that.
Yeah.
I was really lucky because my sister, like I said, she had just had my niece. So she was on maternity leave. So I spent every day with her. And so instead of just focusing on, oh my God, my phone's going to ring at any second, I was just playing with my niece, helping my sister raise her. And like, it was great. And it was the best way to spend that time. So cut to, it was like 6 months later. And at this point, I was very kind of like, I feel like it's not coming. Like,
okay, yeah.
So much time has passed. Why did I get the phone call two months after I was listed, and now just nothing's happening?
Yeah.
And so, like, I started to feel a little bit like disheartened, but also like relief, but also like, terror. Like,
so you had made a bunch of friends when you were in workup. Were you in contact with any of them during this process, being like, I still haven't gotten a call, or like things lay low in like the chats?
I did make a lot of friends during the workup. There was a girl called Tia, and she was like 20 at the time. She was a very big support for me. She was, like I said, she was 20. She had cystic fibrosis, and she got lungs a couple of months before I did my workup. So she would have been about 6 months post. And I did contact her, and I was kind of like, when did you get your call? And blah, blah, blah. And she was like, don't let this dishearten you. Like, she was just like the best hype woman ever.
Yeah, amazing.
She was great. So I had her. I think also I met this lady called Miriam, and I shared a room with her. Her and I were just absolutely obsessed with each other. I do want to talk more about this in a coming episode.
Yeah, cool.
About, just people that you meet, throughout the process. So I won't like dig too deep into this. I had her for support, but I actually found out that she died on Christmas Day. So yeah, I had gotten the phone call the week before, and I remember she was one of the first person that I spoke to.
Wow.
And I messaged her, and I kind of said to her, like, I got the call, and she was like, I'm going to be at the hospital. She was Lebanon. She was Lebanese.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm going to bring you all of your favorite foods. I'm going to visit you every day. And so I was like, okay, at least I've got someone that kind of knows the process, and I can, rely on them. But she didn't tell me that she was really unwell, and she actually passed away a week after I got that first phone call.
Yeah.
I think also having her pass away was also like, I really felt like the presence of like death.
Yeah.
And like that is something that I don't think many people talk about, waiting for their transplants, is like death. it's something that I can't really explain, and it's not something that I really think about outside of that. I never really think like, oh, I wonder when I'm going to die, or like, that's not natural. Like, no one really thinks like that. But like, I was like, all right, well, Miriam died, and so another lady, Rondell, that I also shared a room with, she had also passed away as well. And so I was like, all right, well, she died. Like, they both died, and Tia was doing well, but she actually passed away right after my transplant. So the 5 people that I befriended during my workup actually passed away. And so that was really hard because I was like, all right, well, everyone seems to be dropping like flies around me. Obviously, I'm next. And so I didn't think I would make it in time for my transplant, but I just thought I'm going to make the most of this and spend every day that I can, with Matt, with my family, with my new niece, with my friends, and let's just see where this goes. And like I said in the previous episode, I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
Like, nothing scared me at this point. I was kind of like...
Anything was better than what you're experiencing.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like you said, anything is better than the life I'm living, so, like, whatever. Like, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be, and if it is, it will happen. You know, like, let's just take it a day at a time. I was feeling quite, I don't think depressed is the word, but I was feeling very, just kind of, like, unsure. And Matt and I were obviously engaged at this point, and Mum was like, why don't you plan an engagement party? I feel like that'll take your mind off things and keep you busy and, whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not in the mood. I don't want to see people and, I don't want to celebrate. Like, no. I was like, we'll have an engagement party after transplant. And Mum was like, come on, Nick, like, think about it. I think it'll be a really good distraction for you. And after a lot of convincing, my mum and my sisters, they were right. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll do it. So I spoke to Matt. We organised a date, which was the 12th of May. Mm-hmm. And it was good because I was obviously being taken care of by my sister at this point. So, we spent our days, taking care of my niece and planning my engagement, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Literally the first thing that I said when I finalised the date was, I bet ya I'm going to get a phone call on that day. And everyone was like, you're such an idiot. No, you're not. Don't be ridiculous. What do you think happened? Honestly, just my luck. I cannot even explain it any other way. So it was the 11th. So it was the Friday. My mother-in-law had already flown to Adelaide. She was going to help us, prepare. So she came a couple of days early. She was staying at our house. Matt's brother and his girlfriend at the time also flew down just to spend a couple of days with us before, the party, which was going to be on the Saturday. Friday morning, Matt was going to go to work, and he wakes up quite early. He got up at 5:30 in the morning, and I could hear him eating his Nutri-Grain in the kitchen, and my phone rang, and I was like, no way. Who else could this be? And I remember Matt ran into the room and was like, I feel like you're getting a phone call. He's like, I feel like this is a heart. And I was like, get lost, no way. Anyway, I answered, and it was the coordinator. And she was like, Nick, we found a heart for you. Again, I'm going to call you back with logistics, but get ready. This is it. I was like, get lost. Yeah. What are the odds? So I called my mum again, and I was like, this time I was pissed. Yeah. This time I was like, come on, can I not have one day to celebrate? Can I not just catch a break? Anyway,
when we were going through we went through the group chats of that period of time last night, and yeah, we came across a message from one of our friends who was like, I had bets on it being during the speeches.
Just because it's a fact that
it's a Nicole thing,
It's a Nicole thing, exactly. So yeah, same thing. My parents came over, and my sisters came over, and I remember I had this little notepad of cake vendors and people that I'd invited to the engagement and stuff, and I gave it to my sister, and I was like, figure it out. Yeah. I'm not calling anyone, just figure it out. Also, my mother-in-law was there, and so I was like, I'm so sorry. Me and Matt are gonna go. And yeah, so she was like, go, do whatever you need to do. Oh my God, good luck. And I was like, okay, bye. So again, I hadn't gotten this far. So when they called me back, they were like, we want you at the airport by like 8:30 in the morning. Your flight is at 9:15. We're doing this. Like, this is happening. And I said to Matt, though, I don't feel like it's happening. Like, I don't feel like this is it.
Yeah.
But the actions were like against that. Like, it was happening.
You were on your way to the airport.
We were on our way to the airport, and obviously the first time I didn't leave my house yet, you know? So Matt was like, nah, bub, like, this is it. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's it. We flew Qantas first class. I remember they gave us I don't know how they found out that it was meant to be our engagement, but they gave us a bottle of champagne. Yeah, like the Qantas air hostesses were like, we heard that you were meant to get engaged today. Here's a bottle of champagne. I was like, I can't drink this. And Matt was like, fuck yeah.
More for me.
We landed in Sydney. There was this like transport guy who I now know very well. And he kind of got me from the airport. It was the first time someone was waiting for me at the airport with like a sign. I was like, oh yeah, Nicole, that's me. And there was like a wheelchair there waiting for me, and I was wheeled into his van. That sounds really creepy. Into his very professional, legitimate van. And Matt and my parents were there, and we were taken straight to St. Vinny's. And they kind of said to us, all right, things seem to be going as we would like them to. We're just doing some further testing. So they put us into a room, and I remember there was just like a single bed, you know. Matt and I slept in the bed. My poor parents, they were sleeping on the floor, like not even a chair. And they were kind of like, all right, the nurses kind of said to us, like, we're going to come in and check up on you guys and just kind of let you know, where the day's going to go. So yeah, I just kind of went there. I wasn't allowed to eat or drink or anything. So I was just kind of like, okay. And like out of like solidarity, my family didn't eat or drink either. So we were all like starving. And like, I was getting pissed. I was like, come on, like what is happening? It was about 8 p.m. I think at this point. They were like, okay, like I think we're ready. Like we need you to take these meds. So they gave me like, I think it was maybe like 4 immunosuppressant medications. They were like, down those, have a sip of water with them, and we need you to have a shower, put your hair up, and wash yourself with this like antibacterial scrub, and wear this gown. Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, like this is actually happening. I remember like, I was like, okay guys, I'm gonna have a shower, and there was like a shower attached to our room that we were sitting in. And I went in there, and I remember I tied my hair up, and I looked in the mirror, and I was like, wait, you got this. Like, but a part of me still felt like it wasn't going to happen. Like, you know when you're like hovering above your body and you're like, oh, that's funny. Like, that was kind of how I felt. I didn't feel like I was in the moment, if that makes sense.
Well, also because so much time had passed by this point, right?
So much time had passed. So I think also like not the novelty, but like I was over it. Yeah. I was hungry. I was like getting hangry. I was like, I'm over it. I just want to go to bed. Like, I just go back I want to go to sleep. Like, so when they came in, I was excited, but I was also like, seeds. Like, can't be bothered. Like,
forget the heart. I want a hearty meal.
Yeah, like I want a bloody schnitzel. But anyway, so I did what they said, and another nurse came in and said like, all right, well it's kind of time to say your goodbyes. Like, I'm gonna bring a bed in, and we're gonna wheel you out. And I was like, okay. I said goodbye to my parents first. They were crying, and it was really emotional. And I was kind of like, guys, like it's good, it's cool. Like, don't worry about it. I'll see you when I see you. Like, I'm gonna come out of it. It's gonna be fine. That was the only time that I was kind of like, okay, I'm getting a little bit nervous now. Like, they're actually wheeling me in. Like, we're doing this. I said goodbye to my parents, kissed them, whatever, and they went off to the waiting room. I asked if Matt could kind of like walk with me as far as possible. So they said yes. So, Matt and I were kind of holding him. I was obviously laying on the bed, and he was walking alongside my bed, and we were walking to the theatre. And then this lady, she was a nurse, I assume, came out and was like, all right, so this isn't going to work out this time, so you can just chuck your clothes on. You guys can go if you want. And I was like, who's she talking to? And Matt was like, is she talking to you or is she talking to me? And I was like, I feel like maybe she means that you're not allowed to come this far. Like, maybe you should go. And he was like, all right, love you, blah, blah. We said our goodbyes. And then the nurse that was wheeling me was like, I think she means that the transplant isn't going to go ahead. Maybe you can just go chuck your clothes on and you guys can go. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And they...
Always so relaxed.
So relaxed. And, like, it wasn't even like, I'm so sorry, guys. This and this and this has happened. It's just not going to work out. Like, it wasn't even like a conversation. They were still standing up. I was laying in the bed naked. I was bright pink from this wash that I put on. I had taken these meds, and me and Matt were frozen. And I looked at him and I was like, I don't know what to do. And he was like, do you want to walk back to the room and like put your clothes on? I was like, I don't even know where my clothes are. I was like, I don't know. Anyway, so
are you going to get knocked out by these meds, by the way?
So, no.
Okay.
No. So these, I assume, I mean, I don't really know what they were at the time, but I assume it's what I take now.
Okay.
As part of my, like, you know...
daily maintenance.
Yeah. So anyway, I got off the bed and walked to the ICU waiting room where my parents were, and I was like, yeah, no, it's not happening. So, and Mum was like, here are your clothes. I was like, okay, give me a second to just get dressed. So I literally put my clothes on. Meanwhile, I don't have anywhere to stay. I thought I was going to be staying in the hospital. So, like, my parents luckily had an accommodation. I think Matt had just planned to, like, sleep on that couch or whatever.
Yeah.
It was winter. It was, like, the middle of winter, so it was freezing. It was, like, midnight at this point. So they're like, all right, we'll see you later, bye. Like, hopefully you get the call soon. I was like, oh, my God. We left. It was freezing. I was like, my mouth was open. Like, I actually was like so shocked that I had gotten that far.
Yeah, and you can still be turned away.
And it could still be turned away. Yeah, and I was like, I didn't know this was a thing. Like, they did say you could get some false alarms, and I did experience the other one, but like nothing prepared me for this.
Yeah, like having an actual lotion thing on you, being willed into
theatre, and then them being like, oh yes, I'll split that. Funny story though, I've heard that they've actually like put people to sleep, and then they've waken up and they've been like, oh yeah, sorry, we
But like they would have been asleep for hours, right? Because you get knocked out for a long time, right? Or do they do something to wake you up to say like?
I mean, I'm not sure. I think maybe they can wake you up. I mean, I don't really know, but luckily that didn't happen to me. I didn't reach that point.
Oh
but
no, I just can't even imagine like being woken up and be like, it's over, only for the fact we never started. Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, April Fool. Like, oh my God, you would just have a meltdown. So yeah, Matt and I went back. We ended up getting like a room. We went back and Matt was like, all right, how you doing? What's going on? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling. I was like, I do know that I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I was like, let's just get some food. So we Uber Eats some McDonald's, and when I tell you that I ate my feelings, whew, I ate my feelings. We ate, I went to sleep, I woke up in the morning and I was like, shit, I'm still in Sydney, I need to get home.
Yeah.
And then my second thought was I could have had my engagement party because I'm going to be home. Ugh. Anyway, it was all cancelled at that point. So, like, my parents, Matt and I, we went and, like, had breakfast. Mum was like, let's just make the most of it. We're in Sydney.
Yeah.
Let's go to the city. We'll have some breakfast and then we'll go home. So that's what we did. We ate. And I was silent. I just was not feeling it. I was like, I don't even want to talk to anyone. I don't want to do anything. I just want to go home, see my cats, and just go to bed. I just want to sleep forever. I'm over it.
Yeah.
I got home. I showered. And I napped. And I was like, I don't want to deal with this again. Like, I don't want to get the phone call again. Like, this is traumatic. Like, this is too hard. It was actually really nice. My mum ended up planning like a little party because obviously we didn't get engaged. I didn't get my transplant. So Mum was like, I feel like we need to organise something. So she called Matt and was like, get Nick to my house tonight. tell her that we're just going to order some pizzas and kind of have a, a chill night, but we'll really try to, have a bit of a party. Matt was like, babe, how do you feel? Like, maybe we should go to your mum's for dinner. And I was like, nah, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm not keen. And he was like, no, like, put some clothes on, we'll go. And I was like, I'm telling you, I'm not going. And he was like, come on, Nick, like, let's do it. We need a bit of a distraction. And I was like, fine. So I went there in my pajamas. Yeah. I remember Matt was wearing, like, really nice jeans and, like, looked really nice. And Karen got dressed. And I was like, why is everyone getting dressed up? I was like, we're just going to my mum's for pizza. Like, I'm going like this. And no one can tell me otherwise. And Matt was like, do whatever you want. No, that's fine. And I rocked up. And there was, like, all, like, my closest family was there. My friends were there, because obviously you have to remember a lot of people travelled to Adelaide for our engagement.
Yeah.
We ended up having like a little party, and it was honestly the funnest night. Like, it was the best distraction. I had a great time. It was great. But again, I went to bed that night and I was like, again, I've had to like deal with this and like go through this roller coaster of emotions, and like, I just don't know how much more I can take. Like, I don't want to do this again. Like, I was starting to get really, like, disheartened. I was like, it's just not meant to be. I don't think this is meant to be for me. And, like, but a couple of weeks later, it was my mum's the day after my mum's birthday. And I remember for some reason I didn't see her on her actual birthday. And so the day after, I, like, made her a cake and whatever. And while I remember I had just got it out of the oven, and I put it on like a cooling rack in my phone room. And when I tell you that my entire body knew that this was the call, I can't even explain it. I said to Matt, call my mum. I'm getting a heart tonight. And he called my mum, same thing like we always did. Parents came over, family came over, my sisters were over. The doctor was like, Nick, I know I've said this before, but this is it. And I felt different this time. Like, this was it. Like, I knew it in my bones that this time was right. Anyway, so much so that I started to panic. And for the first time ever, I was nervous. And I was like, oh my God, shit, like, we're doing this. Like, let's do it. I remember I had the bag that I had packed next to the door. I emptied it. I turned it upside down and I emptied it, and I shook everything out of that bag. And I was like, okay, I need to repack this bag properly. I don't want what I had in there. And all I could think about was earbuds. And I got earbuds from the kitchen, from the bathroom, and I put them in the bag, and I was like, I can't think of anything else to put in this bag. All I had in there was a packet of earbuds. And my mum was like, okay, no. We need more than earbuds.
And they probably have earbuds at the hospital, like, of anything that they'll have. They probably have...
I think also, like, the last thing I'm going to be thinking about is earbuds. Like, I got more important issues than just cleaning my ears 24 hours a day.
Also, emptying an entire bag just to put in a packet of earbuds.
Yeah, it was like a big suitcase, and I just thought, this little packet of earbuds in there. And then, my mum was like, all right, maybe you get out and I will pack your bag. So, a mum, like, honestly, just the best. So, underwear, pajamas, my lucky overalls. There was a top that says Maril on it, which is like Matt's nickname. Took that. My teddy bear that I take to every one of my surgeries. His name is Mr. Bowtie, and I got him when I was 7. Took him with me. My iPad, like, this time felt real. So I was like, all right, what do I use every single day that I know that I'll need? We went to the airport, and my entire family came to the airport with us. When we were flying in the air, I said to Matt, like, I'm gonna get a transplant tomorrow. Like, in the next few hours, this is happening.
Yeah.
And I think even my mum was like, Nick, I can feel it. Like, this is it.
Well, yeah, we'll also saying that in the group chat as well. Like, you messaged us, I don't know how, like, all capitals, like, just like, it's happening! And we were all, like, as we were waiting for you to, I mean, because after you said that, we obviously didn't hear from you for ages.
Yeah.
So it was all just kind of talking amongst ourselves and trying to reach out to your family. And all of us were like, I don't know why, but this just
It feels right.
The first time because I wasn't in Australia, I was in New Zealand for the last 2 calls. And the first time I saw it and I was like, holy crap, and then I went about my day. This time I stayed in my room until I found out more, because there was something different about this one where I was like, I need to hold tight. And
and it's a hard thing to explain.
Yeah, nah.
It just feeling right.
Yeah.
And I remember I wasn't scared. I wasn't I was ready. I was like, let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I've never been more ready. I remember I took off my engagement ring and gave it to Matt, and I was ready. Let's do it. So yeah, I got to the hospital, and they were like, all right, at 5 a.m. we're doing it. This time though, I have a little bit of memory loss because obviously I was put under and I did go through with the surgery. So I do remember having a shower and taking some meds, but I don't really remember what happened after that.
I guess our next talk will be about what happened after the surgery, so we can't talk about during. So
no,
although we do have actually some details from the group chat, from Matt talking to the doctors, and he was kind of keeping us informed. So we'll definitely bring up those details as well. But but it's kind of all hearsay, because unless you're the person with the scalpel in your hand, you got no idea what's going on.
No, crazy. But success.
Yeah.
I lived to tell the tale.
You lived to tell the tale, and you you lived to get the final call. So, holy Christ. Till the next episode.
Yep. Till next time.